The Laws of Wealth by Ihianyi Ejogu. Introduction. In 2000 AD, Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which became a New York Times bestseller, making headlines and selling millions of copies. It became so popular that everywhere you went in Lagos, someone was sure to have a copy. The impact it had was amazing, as it seemed everyone you knew had either read the book or had heard about it. I even learned that some corporate organizations compel their employees to read and thoroughly understand the book. It was the buzz on the electronic media at that time, as interviews were granted and several reviews of the book were done by different people. Fast forward to the present. Do you hear of the book again? Not anymore. It is almost as though Rich Dad, Poor Dad never happened. I do know some people who benefited from the book, but majority moved on, refusing to make use of the rich content of the book. I was surprised at the speed at which people just moved on with their lives, barely a few years after the release of the book. And I wondered at how many other ideas, concepts, and teachings will come after Rich Dad, Poor Dad will be greeted with much enthusiasm only for it to dwindle away. The rate at which information has exploded in the last decade has turned the world into a global village. We can get almost any piece of information at the click of a button. As a result of the information explosion, we have seen more millionaires and billionaires than in any other time in history. It is true that there were people of immense wealth in the past, but there were not as many as there are today. The number of millionaires in America alone rose from 2.8 in 2009 to 3.1 in 2010. There is an estimation that the number of millionaires worldwide would rise about 72.5% to 65.2 million individuals by 2020 from the current numbers of 38 million persons. From this information, we can see that more people are beginning to identify and understand the concept of money in our ever-changing world. The statistics above should not surprise anyone, including you reading this book, as this is the reason this book was written. The book goes beyond giving information on the wealthy, what they do, how they live their lives, and the rest. It is a guide teaching the whats and the hows of being wealthy. King Solomon of Israel is recorded as the wealthiest man who ever lived. The worth of his wealth, as recorded in history, is simply mind-blowing. He was no tyrant or dictator, but is reputed to be the wisest man in his time. Think about that for a moment. The difference between the sick and the healthy, the religious and the irreligious, the rich and the poor, is what they know. People go to seminars to be taught principles of businesses, how to make money from forex, export, import, etc. But they are not educated on the laws that bind wealth and created wealth on a personal level. It may seem that knowledge regarding wealth is for the select few, but when you notice the diverse personalities of wealthy people, you begin to think otherwise. It is my belief that every man, woman, boy, girl should not only know how to be rich, but is entitled to know how to apply the law to make them wealthy individuals. I will be discussing these concepts in this book. We will go beyond the whats and delve into the hows. It is my prayer that the information contained here will cause a shift in the minds of everyone who will objectively consider the contents and put the lessons learned into practice. Get ready for a change. Ihianyi Ejogu.